Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the chance that given to us to present our article entitled Improving Students' Writing Skills Through Facebook at University of Ikraburu. Before presenting the material, allow me to introduce the presenters. The first presenter is I myself. My name is Syed Nazul Fikar bin Tahir. I am a lecturer at University of Ikraburu in Indonesia, and my interest studies are TEVAL, teaching media, Arabic language and linguistics, and also multilingual. The second presenter is Amina. She is a lecturer of Tadulako University of Indonesia, and her interest studies are TEVAL and TESOL. Well, as the background of our study, we started to discuss about writing that has played an important role in understanding, expressing, and sharing the information, thoughts, and idea. Of course, in written form to a reader for a purpose. Through writing, one can explain or describe things, and as a result, people can get information by reading the writer message. Unfortunately, many students of Indonesia, especially students of English Department of University of Ikraburu, they cannot write in English well. Even though English has become a compulsory subject from the elementary school up to university level in Indonesia, but they is still poor in writing skill. This happens because there was a presumption that English was very difficult and misleading because of the differences in the way of writing and spelling the words. This assumption led to decreased students' motivation in writing class, besides the lack of lecturer skill in creating teaching media in learning writing. While nowadays the use of internet was familiar and it has enabled change in the way of people live, work, interact, acquiring knowledge and learning. It has increasingly become popular communication tool used by millions of worldwide users at home, at work, at school. It seems to become a favorite supporting tool for real-time communication. Most people almost never miss their time to get online every day, whether to post something or to share with other people using social media, especially Facebook, which it uses worldwide recorded as 250 million users. And of course, all the English department students of this university have already registered on Facebook. So we intended to use Facebook as a medium of teaching writing in this university, and we expected that this medium can improve the students' writing skill. This study applied action research design using the model developed by Kurt, which includes four stages, namely planning, action, observation, and reflection. The subject of the study consisted of 47 students of the second semester of English Department of University of Ikraburu. We took the subjects of this research by considering their average score of semester exam on writing that was very lowest among the other classes. The procedure of collecting data of this study used observation and test. Observation carried out on all students' activities during the teaching and learning process. The tools are used for observation is the observation sheet, which serves to record all activities of students' attitude, behavior, attention, and motivation in learning process. The test was conducted to determine learning achievement. The form of test was the form of written test. The test consisted of 14 items. Each of these items is provided 4 options to choose the most correct answer. The technique of data analysis in this study used comparative descriptive analysis, that is comparing students' achievement at the beginning of the learning and then after treatment. If the improvement of learning outcome at the end of the completeness condition has not reached more than 65%, further action will be conducted on the second cycle and third cycle. The purpose of this follow-up to improve the learning system, become more better, and overcome all obstacles and weaknesses found in previous cycle so that the students' achievement, motivation, and interest can be increased. Finding and discussion. On the first cycle in planning, in this stage, we conducted observations to determine the response, attitude, and motivation of students. We prepared subject matter to write narrative text on daily activities, how to write a short article on daily activities. Then we compiled lesson plan, preparing media in the internet cafe of campus and references relating to such materials, and then create test format. In implementation, the subject of writing or how to write a short article on daily activities and post it on group of Facebook wall. In the first meeting, we introduced how to write a narrative text in English to the students. The second meeting, based on the experience of the first meeting, we provided an opportunity for the students to ask questions if they still find difficult about writing narrative text. This opportunity was given to the students after we explained the sequence of writing narrative text and how to use conjunctions and sentence type will be used. We also gave about 30 minutes to practice of writing on Facebook wall, and then gave the test to find out how progress of the students' ability in writing. In observation, we observed and recorded all activities of students in learning process. The first meeting we started to teach writing narrative text. Some students were still very crowded and many students spoke to themselves, and it was an evidence that students did not pay attention. They find it difficult at the moment to begin writing narrative text. That is, they didn't know how to write about and how to start writing a narrative text. The second meeting, we find most of students are very concerned at the time, and most of the students have taken the initiative to try to write narrative text with the title of the different daily activities. In reflection, we analyze the data obtained either in the form of quantitative or qualitative data from observation to existing instrument. The first meeting, we should pay more attention and encourage the students to motivate interest and feel more confidence because they were still afraid to practice writing narrative text. We also must continue to give encouragement and motivation to convince them that the students can do and were able to write a narrative text correctly. The second meeting, based on the result of tests of the first cycle, students begin to understand and dare to write narrative text, but their test result was not maximized. Next, in implementation, we explained how to describe daily activities. In the first stage, we mentioned the words and phrases that were required, then explained the procedure. Furthermore, we explained how to use the connector as when, then, first, before that, after that. Linguistic characteristics were to use the simple present and focused on the subject you. The verb was an action that is widely used verbs and imperative sentence. Toward the end of the lesson, we gave the examples of writing narrative text based on this explanation. In the second meeting, we corrected some mistakes made by the students, especially the grammar and connectors such as when, then, after that, before that, and finally. Furthermore, we conducted tests. The test results were analyzed and compared with the result of the test on first cycle. Based on the comparison, we can conclude whether it still needs to be followed up in the next cycle or not. If the result of the comparison already shows more than 65% of number of the students who completed, so there was no need to continue on the next cycle. And in observation, continue to be done to get the data both of attitude, interest, and motivation, as well as the progress of students' ability in writing narrative text in English. In the first meeting, the students began to respond favorably to a given workout. They seemed enthusiastic for practice writing narrative text and even wanted to continue practicing with the various titles they won. Phrases and vocabulary they used very widely. Some common words were already applied correctly. And in the second meeting, students' response has been very good and have high self-confidence. This was evident from most of the students had not afraid anymore to show the result of the exercise of their own without orders from lecturers in their Facebook wall. They were very active to ask the various procedure to make something and to wide range of vocabulary that is often used in narrative text. The students also practice writing narrative text. They also seem encouraged to explain something that was acquired through oral procedures. The result of the test on the second cycle turned out to be better when compared with the result on the test in the first cycle. Next, in reflection, based on observation and test, we evaluated the students' ability in writing narrative text and also the learning process that was presented to show an improvement. The result of this phase indicate that students gained better progress than in the first cycle, where they seemed very excited and confident. The result achieved in the second cycle had shown 82.97% of students' achievement already reached. Therefore, follow-up studies are not required because the indicator has been reached. The improvement can be seen on the table 1. So, based on the result of the study in the first cycle to be increased in the second cycle to the need for improvement of the learning system, weaknesses that exist in the first cycle to the second cycle resolved so that the motivation and attitude of students and their confidence were increased. This success can be seen by several indicators. Student readiness for writing narrative text was better, and sureness of the exam result reached 82.97%. The average score of students' achievement in the second cycle were 68.11, where 85 were categorized as highest and 15 were lowest. The number of students who completed were 39 or 82.97%, and 8 students were unfinished or 17.2%. It can be stated that teaching writing through Facebook can improve students' writing skills. Based on the results and the discussion, the researchers can conclude as follows. Teaching writing through Facebook can improve the students' writing skill. In addition, learning writing through Facebook can increase students' enthusiastic, motivated, and activeness in joining writing. That's all our presentation. Thank you very much.